Morning, sweet friend. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Maylene Call from Mrs. Call's Campers. This is vlog number 4. So if you haven't seen the last 3 vlogs, make sure you go back and watch them using the playlist. I am a K1 combo teacher, so I'm teaching kindergarten and first grade this year. And it's going to be a really busy morning. It is Tuesday because it is the day after Labor Day. We had Labor Day off. So I'm dubbing today Cookie Butter Tuesday. Normally we have Cookie Butter Monday. Today it's Cookie Butter Tuesday. I did so much this weekend, excuse me. Came here over the weekend, which normally I would say please don't do it, but if it's gonna make you feel a little bit better, especially at the beginning of the year, do what you need to do. Let me show you everything I did. I did so much and I still have so much to do this morning. It is 7-11. Here's my little to-do list. I lifted up just so you guys could see, but I needed to charge my little voice level light that I keep up there. I needed to charge my microphone and I did that. I needed to charge my tablets, which hopefully they're charged. I don't know. When I left I wasn't sure if they were completely dead or what. I hung up some fairy lights. You can't see them now. I have them plugged into a smart plug over here, so I'm going to program that so they'll just turn on automatically for me. I cleared off my back table way over there, cleared it off. I also hung up my ELA anchor charts. I've been kind of introducing these concepts and I figured it was time that I just put them up. So I'm using magnetic curtain rods for most of them, and then I ran out, but I had those magnetic hooks, you know, the little strong magnetic hooks, and then just binder rings. So those are up and ready. We refer to those all year long. And I also have my addition and subtraction one up. And I prepped my anchor chart for this week. This is going to be our read aloud, the very last leaf. I didn't get the all are welcome banners done, but hopefully my aide can help me with that. I started getting my guided reading binder ready. I hung up my pocket chart in my library. That is over there, and we're going to be doing book club, which I will talk to you about soon. I organized my writing center. I organized my small group carts, and I printed my schedule. I do need to laminate it. Hopefully that gets done today. So this is the writing center, not this. I left this out. I went ahead and hung up all the kind of basic parts to it. I do need to hang string and hang our September cards. This resource is from Move Mountains in Kindergarten. So I'm going to hang up the September cards. And then I decided, since I had a 2-sided bookshelf, I would put mostly the K things on this side and put mostly the first grade things on this side so they would know which side to pull from. I'm gonna put this away. I also took down my Be a Leader Not a Boss anchor chart that was on this window because I want to hang other anchor charts over there. Kind of made it to where it'd be part of my calm corner, and I also put LED lights back there, and I thought that would be nice because this corner is really dark and I can't put a lamp there. So love that. I'll link these from my Amazon for you. Literally the cheapest ones. It came with so much I had to cut it, but that's why I got them, because they were the cheapest ones. So I'm going to be working on this week to show you. And then I got this kind of prepped for my aide. My kindergartners do a new poem every week. My first graders do a new poem every 2 weeks. So I just wrote out the kinder poem for this week. I'm going to add probably a little bit more as the week goes on, mostly to this one that she can help me with because she's super fast. But in case you're curious what I am asking her to do. And then this is the poem that I need to copy for my kinders this morning. And all the stuff that I'm asking her to do, I just put in this little bin. Also, my lunch for today is just some breakfast burritos that I made. I use these, they're like carb balanced tortillas. They're like 70 calories, so bacon, egg, and cheese breakfast burritos, and I almost skipped this, and I was like, you know what, if I don't have 5 minutes, yeah, I just needed to do that. I also brought some bananas and some cheese sticks. I did go to Walmart over the weekend and I picked up just a couple of things. First thing is some toothpicks. I really want to start doing like pinprick art where they have like, you'll see, I'll talk about it later, but the resource I'm using is from the pond, and you put a piece of paper with a printed design on top of a piece of like cardstock paper or like colored paper, and they just poke at it and make like a little design, and it's really good for fine motor, so I thought it'd be good for my fine motor bins, or it's just a different activity. I got a ton of sheet protectors because I want to make a little like intervention finder. I got some mini clothespins for my writing center so I can hang those word cards. I got some fasteners so I can make like little spinners with my kids. I got some rubber bands so we can do those like geoboards with the pegs, you know, and the rubber bands. I don't know what they're called, but I needed rubber bands. gum. And then over the weekend, I got a surprise package from Kaylin. She sent me this book, Apples, which is great because we're going to be starting a little Apples unit soon. I love these Nat Geo books. She also sent Goodbye Winter, Hello Spring, and I have Goodbye Summer, Hello Fall that we will probably be reading this week. I love these books. And then I love this little book series, and this one is The Squirrels Who Squabbled. The cutest little story, and it has those, I don't know what they're called, I'm just going to call them like dynamic pages. The illustrations are wonderful if you're familiar with The Koala Who Could, but just so much fun. And then this weekend at home, I printed about 1,000 things. I edited our schedule just a little bit, so I can talk with you about that later, but I printed off more schedule copies. I printed off my guided reading schedule, which I can't show you because it has names all over it, but I can talk to you about it later. And I printed off all of my schedule cards, except this time I did something a little different and I added pictures just so it kind of helps them. So I need to laminate these. I'm going to use my personal laminator because it is just a little bit better than like the school lamination. And then I was talking to you guys last week about the fix-it sentences and it being a little bit too hard for like 95% of my first graders. So I went back to Just a Primary Girls resource and I printed her pre-primer sentences. So basically I need to laminate them. Again, I'll use my personal laminator. These are gonna be a little bit easier because they only have 4 cards per set. So here's set 5 and there's only 4 little chameleons for this. So that's gonna be 1 sentence. And when you flip it over, I think I might have copied, oh well. Here's the sentence. Here is my hat. They know capital letter goes first, punctuation goes at the end. She put a little 3 so they would know the 3rd word, so it was a little bit more differentiated. So it's basically all given to them and they just need to practice building the sentence, seeing what that looks like, and then writing it. So I did all of those. And then I also, from Just a Primary Girl, I printed her magnetic letter name tags, and I really can't show you these because they have kids' names and faces, but I'll put an example right here. And then finally, I printed some fine motor bin labels. I want to start that this week. Printed the rest of my writing center because I only had half of it. I printed a record keeper. This is going to be for my guided reading binder, and this is from my planner resource page pack. So if you want this cute little record keeper, you can get it there. And then I printed this little sign to go in the library. I'm going to cut it up and put it on cardstock. I literally have so much to do. And then this is going to be my Calm Corner resource. I'll give you a little preview, but I'll show you whenever I put that up. And I made these cute little cards to go with it. So I do need to laminate like 100 million things, but before I do that, I'm just gonna make sure everything is ready for my kids. I'm gonna try to prep their center folders, and I'm gonna run off copies for their poems. I don't think I'll have time to laminate this morning like I wanted to, but you know what? That's okay. It's the end of the day. Today was a really great day. I felt super successful. Everything went exactly like I planned. I modified our schedule just a little bit. So when we first started, I had decided that I would pull first grade reading groups and then kindergartners would be in the centers. And then I remembered that that's not the way I like to run my groups. Last year, if you watched my vlogs, things were a little bit different because of COVID, but this year I'm going back to how I like to do my reading groups. I'll explain that to you in just a second. First of all, they came in, they did their STEM bins. Again, I don't have my fine motor bins ready just yet, but hopefully that'll be something that we can do soon. I'm just waiting on a couple of things that are in the office. We did our morning song, we did our alphabet song, we did our morning meeting. That was great. And then we went into our read aloud for today, which was The Very Last Leaf. So I am teaching a combo class, which means there are parts of our day that we do together and there are parts of our day that we do separate. One of the very first things we do in the morning is our read aloud as an entire class. So I have kindergartners and first graders on the carpet, and today we were doing The Very Last Leaf. This book, it was the first time I actually read it with a class, and we did Primary Scouts activity, beginning, middle, end. We also talked about characters and setting, and all of the little read aloud things that I talked about with you guys in my last vlog, talking about parts of the book, the cover, title page, making predictions, stopping and trying to figure out vocabulary. All of those things we do every time we do a book. This one was a little bit harder for them to retell, but I had a lot of students come up today and practice that. So day 1 of our read aloud, we read the book. We retell it together using these picture cards, and then I have students come up and retell it, and they did a beautiful job with that. Also during our read aloud, the students are on the carpet. They're on their learning leaves, which are assigned spots that I give the students mostly based on behavior to help them focus during a read aloud. Sometimes I let them sit wherever they want. A lot of times they're sitting on their learning leaves. Right above them, I have these anchor charts that I showed you this morning, and we went over characters and setting today, so I referred to both of those. They thought these were really cool. They noticed them as soon as they came in this morning. So the read aloud went great. I'm interrupting myself really quickly because I also totally forgot to say we're going to be talking about seasons and fall and weather. So I did introduce the concept of fall and autumn, and we talked about it a little bit, and I just totally forgot to say that a second ago when I was explaining to you what we did with this book. But we are starting seasons and weather and all of that, so I did mention it, and I did want to bring it up. After our group read aloud as a class, they go to recess, and then when they come back, I work with first graders for their literacy. This week we are doing character traits, so I pulled out Mean Jean, the Recess Queen. I love the book The Recess Queen, and none of my first graders had read it before, which is also really nice. And then we just did this very basic anchor chart, like very, very basic. Not the most pretty anchor chart, but hey, it works. So we talked about character traits, and then we talked about how you can look for clues in your book based on what the character looks like, what the character acts like, and then what they say. So for Recess Queen, we talked about in the beginning, Jean was mean, she was a bully, she was bossy, she was angry. And then we talked about Katie Sue came in the middle, and she was cute, excited, nice, and considerate, and I got to pull in one of our secret stories. So after we read this book and we were talking about Katie Sue's character traits, they were talking about how she was thinking about Mean Jean, and I was like, yeah, we actually have a word for that. We call that considerate, and I asked if they had ever heard the word before, and kind of had a little conversation about what it means to be considerate when you're thinking of others. And I don't spell with them every single word that I write on the anchor chart, only every now and then, otherwise it would take absolutely forever. But this is a new word and I really wanted to nail it in there. So the first thing we did was we clapped out the syllables, considerate, and then we started sounding it out. So we got C-O-N-S-I-D, and then we got to the part, and you can see there's a little, it's hard to tell, it's a little car under there. When we got to the sound, I made a big deal about wanting to share another secret with them. So I use Katie Gardner's Secret Stories, and she has all of the secrets in here, and they're hanging on our back wall over there. So I made a really big deal. I was like, I have a secret to tell you about these two letters. I can't even remember exactly what I said, but I just took my laser pointer and I pointed it back at the back wall. It does reach the back wall. I know you can't see it on the camera. And I pointed to the E-R-I-R poster, and I said, what do you notice about all of these letters? And they said that they're in cars, and I was like, yes. Have you ever been in a car before and someone had to slam on the brakes because they were going too fast and the car went, Arr! And they were like, yeah. And then a couple of them were telling me about a story about they heard someone outside of their house get into a crash and they heard because they were slamming on their brakes. And I was like, yes, E-R, I-R, and U-R are really bad drivers. They are terrible drivers, the worst drivers. And anytime they get in the car together, they go, because they slam on their brakes, and they loved practicing this sound. And this is just a sneak peek at how awesome these stories are. This was one thing I was really excited to bring into my classroom this year, and so I had them spell the sound again, E-R, and then we went through and spelled considerate together. But just a little peek into our secret stories. I'm sure I'm going to be sharing little tidbits all year long, but it really drove it home. And so I'm actually going to be looking for another word that has that spelling pattern in it tomorrow to see if I can, you know, jog their memories a little bit. But they did a really awesome job with it, and they loved it. And then in the end, we talked about how Mean Jean was happy, excited, just like Katie Sue was, nice and friendly. So while I'm doing literacy with my first graders, my kindergartners are actually in the library with my AIDE, and they are working on poetry and phonemic awareness. I use Haggerty for phonemic awareness, and my AIDE actually does that most of the time with them because it's something that they really, really need. And their poem this week is Apple Happy. And then when I finished with first grade, I had all my kindergartners come to the carpet and sit on the very edge, and I hyped this up. I looked like a crazy person, actually. So first thing, they're all sitting right here on the edge of the carpet, and I took my laser pointer and I pointed up at our little alphabet letters up there, and I was like, today we are going to be learning about, and I pointed to all of those, and I was like, what are those called again? They said letters, and I said, yes. And in this box, I have a mystery letter. I don't think you're ready for it. And I made a really big deal, and I was like, no, I don't think I should show you. I don't think I can. And I had a couple of students come up and just peek inside, and then I closed it really quickly. I said, are you ready to see what is in my mystery box. A new letter today, and I pulled them out very slowly one at a time. And every time I pulled it out, I asked them what it was. So for example, monster. So we said monster, and then I had them say, monster. So for each one, we pulled it out. Milk, milk. Muffin, muffin. Mermaid, mermaid. So we did that the whole way through. These little alphabet cards are from Tara West. I have her alphabet curriculum and it comes with it, so that was really helpful. And then after all of that, we went through and we said the sounds again, and I gave each of them, it just worked out that I had a picture for each of them today. I gave each of them a card to hold, and I asked them what their picture was, and they would tell me mermaid, and I would say, what's the first sound? And they would say, They were all able to do that, really successful, so that was exciting. And then I was like, what do you think our mystery letter today is? And a couple of them said M, which is really good. So then on my PowerPoint, mystery letter today is, and I had them give me a little drum roll, and I said, what's the letter? And they said M. And then we went through, and I told them that they were going to be detectives, and they had to find the letter M, and they all did. That was great. Even one of my kids who struggles with letter discrimination, he was able to find some. So they literally just came up to the board, took turns circling the letter M, and then we went into our anchor chart, which not very fancy. The letter M, and then I said, your turn, the letter M. They said it with me. My turn. M is for. They said M is for, and I had them all raise their hand, give me words that started with M. A lot of them chose the picture cards that we just used, which is perfectly fine. So we emphasized the first letter, me, muffin. So here is our not fancy anchor chart, but I love it and it was super helpful. Then we went into centers for the very first time. I'm gonna do pop-ups on screen so you can see what I'm talking about, because I can't show you right now because I have students' names and faces, so it'll be easier to do it in post. But I have a very specific way I like to run my reading centers. It's just what works for me. By no means am I saying this is the way that everyone needs to do it, because it certainly will not work for everyone. So what I do is I have center groups, and my center groups are mostly based on behavior, and they are mixed levels. And I do this for a couple of reasons. Number one, I don't want all of the students who are super talkative in one group and all the students who are super shy in another group. So I mix it up. I mix up the leaders with those that need a couple more reminders. And the next factor in this equation is their abilities. I have mixed abilities in my center groups because I want them working on different things. If I have all of my students who are at the highest reading level in my writing center and they're all working on the same thing, number one, they are going to talk more. Number two, they're going to be more focused on how others are completing the work. I really want them to be independent and doing their own thing in the center. And also my students who are a little bit higher can help students who might need extra help with whatever they're working on. So there's a lot of benefits to having mixed ability groups in your physical center. So my center groups are fiddle leaf, willow, sycamore, and sequoia. I have 4 center groups, and I have 4 centers around the room. I have word work, I have writing, I have computers, which I didn't have computers today, so they had tablets, that's okay. And then I have library. So I have 4 center groups, and I have 4 centers, and each day, each center group only goes to 1 center. They're just doing 1 center that day. And the reason is because they have work that they must get done in their center if they are in word work or in writing. Library and computers, they don't have to do their center folder that day, but if they're in word work or writing, they need to do their center folder work. So I want to give them time to do their center folder work and then have choices during the center. So my students visit 1 center a day. Again, this is just what works for me. And while my students are in centers, I'm calling my guided reading groups. And my guided reading groups are based on abilities, but my students have no idea who is in what group because I don't call the circles to my back table or the pineapples to my back table. I call their names and they sit in the order that I call them. So if I call John, Marie, Lisa, and Jeffrey, they're gonna sit exactly where I point. I can choose where they're sitting and kind of control behaviors that way too, but it also works out because when I'm pulling my students back here, I'm not pulling 1 complete center away, if that makes sense. So I'm pulling some kids from library and some kids from word work and some kids from computer and some kids from writing. Hopefully that makes sense. So that's kind of the gist on how I run my centers. So if that doesn't make sense, I can do another video kind of explaining it to you more in depth. But today, it was our very first day actually being in our centers, doing what we were supposed to be doing. So here's how I did it. Number one, I taught them their group names. So fiddle leaves, willows, sycamores, sequoias. I had them all stand up, sit down, stand up, sit down. And then I showed them where in the room their centers are. My PowerPoint has pictures of the center there too, so that is helpful. And then I also told them, look around at your group. These are your people. If you're ever not sure where to go, look for your group. These are your people. And then I had them practice walking to the center they would be at that day. Everyone came back to the carpet, and then everyone went to their center again. And then I went to each individual center and talked to them about what I needed them to do. So my center folder friends, I explained to them, when you come to writing, you're gonna have to do your center folder first. This visual in here, and really they just did their center folders and then a brain builder today. We didn't have a ton of time after that. Friends who are on the tablet, I explained to them to keep their voice levels down. My friends are in the library, I walked them through how we handle books. We get the book bins out with 2 hands. We pick one book, we look at a book, we can read with a little book buddy, which is a little stuffed animal, and then we put the book back where it goes, and we use 2 hands, and we put it back on the shelf, and then we get a different book. My library center is super close to my word work center. So here's library, and literally right here is word work. So they could honestly be sitting right there. And so I made sure to talk with my friends in library, and I was like, friends in library, if we are being loud, can my friends in word work concentrate and get their work done? And they were like, no. And then I came over to my word work friends, and I was like, friends, if we are loud over here, can my friends in the library concentrate on their book? And they were like, no. So I think they got it. And my word work friends today just worked on my kinders did an alphabet boot camp practice, and my first graders did, I can show you actually. Here's an example of something my first graders had to do. They had to sound out the word and then find the picture that matched it, and she didn't color it, but they were supposed to color it, cut it, and glue it. And then when they were done, I let them use our little CVC toolbox just to practice building some CVC words. This was sent to us off our wish list, so that is very exciting, but it looks like this, and they have these little pieces that they connect together. They were supposed to sound out log, build it, and then check it on the back. And I think they were really successful with that. My kindergartner didn't actually finish her work because she had a little bit of name practice in there too, but her option was going to be this alphabet puzzle. And I didn't necessarily want to like overwhelm them with too many choices. So my friends who were in writing, my first graders were just working on basic like CVC writing. And then when they were done, I had them practice with these. And that is from Tara West. And my kindergartners literally just did a letter handwriting page. And when they were done, I let them practice with these. And they thought these little magnetic pen boards were the coolest thing ever. So this entire time that we were doing centers for the first time, I would take some time, walk around the room, make sure students were doing what they were supposed to be doing, talking with them about what they were working on, what they could do when they were done. The first chunk of our centers is a 30-minute time period. Keep in mind, about 15 minutes of that today was literally just practicing and figuring out where to go and what to do when you get there. But that's our first chunk of centers, and then we go to lunch. So I tell them that we're literally pausing our centers and we will come back to them, and then when we get back from lunch, it is just 20 more minutes of centers, so I can pull 2 kindergarten groups for like 10 minutes each. So the first chunk of our centers, I'm trying to pull 2 first grade groups, and then the second chunk of our centers, I'm trying to pull 2 kindergarten groups. But since today was the first day we were actually doing it, I pulled a group just for a very short period of time, and then I would go around, talk to the students, ask them what they were doing, and just make sure that they were on task, make sure they knew what they were doing, and just working the whole time. And then at the end I went around and I said, when you hear the music, you're going to clean up your center, put everything back where it goes, put your work in your center folder, and give me a nice line by my table so I can check it. And I played the music. My cleanup song has always been Fireflies, and I don't know why. Fireflies by Owl City is just my cleanup song, so that's what I do. So they cleaned up, and one of my friends was like, this music is actually really nice, and I was like, thank you. But they did it. They cleaned up. I had to go back for a couple of them and show them where a couple of things were supposed to go, but that was okay. They lined up over here. I date stamped their paper, and then I checked them off on my center tracker, which I can't show you, but I'll insert a picture right here of what it looks like. That's how I introduced full-on centers for the very first time. We have been doing centers, but it's not at all been like how it was supposed to be like today. Today was really the first time they truly were in their centers doing center work, word work, writing, library, computers, all for the very first time. After that, we went into calendar, and then we went into our math block. So I have kindergartners up first for whole group math, and I just wanted to share this with you because they thought it was super cute. But we started off by counting. We did a little Jack Hartman, just counting to 10 because I really didn't know where my kindergartners were at just yet, and I just wanted to get a solid count to 10 because I remember even last year in kindergarten, I had some friends at the end. Granted, they were English language learners, but could not even count to 5. This group, they can all count to 10, I'm pretty sure. I think a couple of them get stuck on 1 or 2 numbers, but I'm pretty sure they can all count to 10. This is what I did. And they thought it was the most adorable thing ever. I went and grabbed this little cat from the library, and this again is one of those things that was just totally like on the spot because I wanted to make it more fun. So I brought all the kindergartners to the carpet and we sat in a circle. My first graders were doing math centers, and I was like, this is our counting cat, and they thought it was the most adorable thing ever. And I was like, we're all gonna count, but you can only talk if you have the counting cat, so I'll start. And I said 1, and then I passed it to the person next to me. The person next to me said 2, and they passed it 3. And we just did 10, and then we started at 1 and we went to 10, started at 1, went to 10 a couple of different times. They actually loved it. And then at the very end, okay, give Counting Cat a little pet and say good job. And they all pet Counting Cat, and then we put Counting Cat away. And then we did a positions Jack Hartman. So it's like this video, it's called Animals on the Farm or something like that, and he goes through a bunch of different positions. My kindergartners are pretty solid with their positions. Then we brought out our little cat again, and we talked about different positions, where the cat was. They got it. It was great, reinforcing some concepts that they already knew. After whole group math with the kindergartners, I got the first graders. So you can see my day is very minute to minute, but that's okay because we're getting in the flow. And I did, not gonna lie, I felt a tiny bit rushed today, but that's because I was a tiny bit rushed because we're still learning every routine for every time of the day, and it's helpful now that we have a bit more of our class because we can actually do things. But yeah, so I felt a tiny bit rushed, but today was still a great day. My kindergartners went off with my wonderful AIDE, and they did their math adventure, which is just their little math packet that comes straight from their workbook. And then the first graders worked with me, and we worked on math strategy. So we talked about how there's different ways to get the same answer to a problem. And my kids really, really struggle with using a number line. So I kind of pushed heavy on the number line today, and I had them practice it. And one of my favorite things to do is called our oh yeah. I was messing with my PowerPoint a second ago, so it's not pulled up, but let me pull it up for you so you can see. So my oh yeah is kind of like a little exit ticket, and this was the first time again that I've ever done it with them today, but I really like it because it allows students to evaluate kind of where they're at, and it lets me see where the class is at a whole, and it also is a good chance for them to try something and make mistakes if they need to, because I do not have them put their names on it. So let me show you. This is our oh yeah, which you can see they all put it on the oh yeah side. So I mean, that's great. We're coming in confident. I told them that they needed to write 3 plus 2 on their sticky notes, and I had drawn this part of the number line on their little post-it note. You can see right here in pen is what I drew. I had them write 3 plus 2 equals 5. So I drew the black number line on there, and I wanted to see if they could label the number line. Honestly, I went around to half of them and labeled it for them anyway because they were taking so long. Because then after this was free choice, and I really wanted to make sure they got all of their free choice time. That's the only reason why. So basically I had them do 3 plus 2 equals 5, and I wanted to see if they could use the number line to solve. And you can see some of my friends just put the answer. All got the answer, but they didn't all show me the number line. So this tells me that I need to, again, focus more on number lines, which I kind of expected, but I really just wanted to get them into the routine of this. Yeah, this is also in my PowerPoint kit that you can find in my TBT. So that was pretty much our whole day. I did have a lunch bunch today, and I totally spaced because normally my student of the week, I let them pick 2 friends and come to lunch bunch, but I totally forgot. So I gave my past student of weeks a chance to come eat lunch in here with me today, and then I had a friend use her lunch bunch coupon, and she picked 2 friends. So there were a lot of kids in here today for our little lunch bunch, and they loved it. But overall, it was just a really fun day, and things felt super normal to me, and I'm just so excited for all the progress that we're going to make this year, and I can see that they're going to do really well with these routines because they already are, and I am still really loving teaching kindergarten and first grade. I really, really am, and I feel super prepared to teach both of them, so it's all working out. The last thing I want to do is show you what my plans ended up looking like for this week, because I planned with you a little bit last week. They look very different. I'm still kind of finding my groove with planning for kindergarten and first grade at the same time, but I really like how everything came out this week, so I'm going to show you really quickly. If you have a question, let me know. I'll try to do a dedicated plan with me maybe this week. Let me know if you want to see that. Here's what my plans kind of ended up looking like for this week. So again, we don't have any school. We didn't have any school on Monday, and then at the very top I keep our read aloud. So we did the very last leaf. We retold it as a class. Here's what I did with first grade. Here's what I did with kindergarten, and then here is what I did for my small groups. And I did color code these just so it was easier for my aide, but it actually ended up being a little bit easier for me, so that's great. And then for math with my kindergartners and math for my first graders. So that's kind of how it's laid out. And this is what the plans look like, so you can get a little peek at how it turned out. I did end up getting most of that done, which is good. I just have to laminate a bunch of stuff. But yeah, I thought it'd just be helpful to show you, so let me know if you want to see a full plan with me this week. So yeah, if you have any questions about anything that I mentioned today, please let me know and I can make a longer video and kind of explain to you how I'm doing it. Again, this is just the way that I found works for me. It's probably not gonna work for every class, and it's definitely not gonna work for every teacher, but we had a really great day today. That being said, I am gonna keep this more a shorter daily vlog. I really wanna keep all the information in this vlog just to itself so you can come back and refer to it super easily. Let me know if you prefer week in my life, day in my life, lifestyle content mixed in. I don't know. Leave me a comment. Let me know. Make sure you like this video so other teachers can see it. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss future videos, and I will see you in the next one.